This should be a fairly short video. I need to figure out exactly where to mount this interior part of the mini split on that wall right there. The problem is the outside has ribs just like that, and I need to hit right in the middle of the two big ribs. I got to hit it with this hole right here. And then you can see they got it kind of denoted where to mount this. And you can see where they got it denoted. And you can see by this diagram where they want you to put the mounting screws. I want that to be into that girt right there. So I'm going to have to do some calculations. Oh yes, I do have that marked off. That is going to be the center of the ribs on the outside. So I just have to figure out how wide my board is. I have a wooden wall, just like that wall, that's going to go up, but I'm going to have a wood part that goes all the way up. I got to figure out how wide I want that to be. I'm thinking right around 6 feet. Then I need to subtract the width of this. This is 46.7 inches. I need to subtract that, get the center, and then measure over from the center. I don't know if they have it here. They have the center here, 23.1 inches, and it's 46.7 overall. One of those things is incorrect. All right, we'll get this figured out. I'm going to move the scaffold over here, and we'll start laying this out. And I probably should get all the girts cut and drill that hole for this on the outside right away. That's another thing. Wherever this hole is on the inside, it has to pitch down to the hole on the outside. This is the same way, except this pitches upwards. This was a nightmare because I had to figure out all that stuff. Plus, I had to have brackets on the ceiling that didn't run into those bigger ribs like that. All right, let's move that scaffold and start laying this out. Okay, I'm probably going to have a hard time explaining this, but the ribs on this building are 9 inches on center. So we have the center between the ribs marked right there. So from that line, 9 inches over is the center of another. So 9, 18, blah, blah, blah. You can just work your way over. And what I did is went 3 centers over, and that's where this hole's going to be. Next thing I did was figured out where this line where they want the screws was going to be, and measured down, and we're going to put the screws right in the middle of that girt. So that gives us one line there, and it gives us the position horizontally this way. And from there, I found out, because we only have this hole, I figured out where the center was, and then from the center, I could figure out where the edge of the panel is, because the edge of the panel is going to be 6 feet wide. This is roughly 4 feet wide. So, where are we at? We have 12.6 inches. That's 12 5/8 inch shy from that center line over there to the center line of one of these girt fillers that's going to go all the way up and down. We're going to have 4 of those. One of them is going to be at this, no, actually it would be over here at the edge of the panel. It's got to be right in the center because we have tin going on there as well. It's going to be tin, J molding, and then panel, J molding, tin. Not sure if you're going to follow that or not, but that's how it's going to go. So at any rate, 12 5/8 inch shy is where the center of this one is, and then 6 feet over is where the center of the other side is, and then we got 24.9 for the centers of each one of these. And then we have a filler that's going to be like split in half. It's going to be a filler on this side and a filler on this side with a 2-inch gap, and we're going to have the hole cut out through the center of that, and it's going to look kind of like this: wood here, with the pipe right in the middle. I'm going to put one of these in. Well, I'm going to drill this completely assembled. I'm going to put a 2-inch spacer in the middle and clamp it all together, and I'm going to drill at an angle a 3.5-inch hole through there, and then get rid of that spacer. And this one will be installed, the pipe will be installed through the wall. I got to cut that on the outside and everything. I'm going to be doing that in a different video. We're just going to get everything completely laid out, and it's possible I'll cut these girt spacers, but I'm not sure if I'll have time or not. But anyways, this spacer will be put in place with its half-round hole. The pipe will be pushed through the outside wall and will rest up against this. It's going to be long on the inside, and then I'll be putting epoxy on it and stuff. Put epoxy on the other side, clamp those two together, and then shoot some screws into the girts, and then we'll have this fixed. And then I'll go along with a multi-tool and just trim this flush. Once the panel's in place, I'll have a hole in the panel. When I put it up, I'll take a flush trim bit, and then I'll have a perfect hole going to the outside. I've done it several times before. Last time I did it was on the tiny house over there, and you can go watch that video if you want to see it done, or you can wait and watch the video where I do it on here. So I need to get all of this stuff laid out up on the wall, figure out the girt lengths, or not girt, but the girt spacers like these here, and I need to figure out where I need to remove insulation, and we'll get that marked out on the outside wall, get everything marked out on the inside here, and that should do it for the day. All right, let me show you what I got up here. I have all my marks from when I installed this. 4 15/16 down, but this is the most important one. I have the center line marked both on the face and on the top, and I just put a nail in there and then went all the way, well actually I went over to here. This is the edge of where the plywood's going to be. The plywood's going to start here and end here. Then it's going to be tin that way and tin that way. So with this line figured out, I moved the nail over here, and this is the center line of the drain, and these are the centers of the boards that go on either side of it. Well, it's kind of hard to tell from this. Well, it's kind of hard to tell from that as well. 7 1/8 of an inch down, that's where the drain is going to be on this side of the wall, and then it's going to be 3/4 of an inch lower on the tin here. So I'll cut, did I say 7 3/4? 7.5. I'll cut a 7.5 inch block and pocket screw it. Well, actually, I don't have to do that. Yeah, I do. I'm cutting the insulation right here and right here so that I can put it right back and I have room to tape it. If I was cutting it flush with this, I could take my combination square and just go back to the wall there and make a mark and then measure down. But because I can't do that, I'll just make the 7.5 inch block, which will be hanging in an open space here. And then I'll take my combination square back to the wall, make a little tick mark, and then measure down from there. Once I have this insulation out, you can feel where the edges of the ribs are. There's one right there and one right there. So I'll go over to the one that I'm looking for, and I can make a mark at the edge of each of them big ribs and then just get the center from that. I may not be using this center line. I'll be using the center line as it is on the wall. Well, let's get this insulation cut out of here and see what we have back there. Okay, I have an insul hold strip that my drain is right here, so it's gonna be about right there. So I'm gonna have to cut this, but that's no big deal. Okay, where is that rib? Here is one side, and the other side is right there, which is exactly where it should be. The center is right over here. So I'm going to get this figured out. I'll cut that block, that 7.5 inch block, and get that installed and go back. And once I get that figured out, I'm going to put a little dot there, drill a tiny hole through there, and then go on the outside and tape it up and get a level cross. Then I'll take my pipe that's going to go through on an angle. The hole's going to have to be a little oval. I'll cut that pipe and then put it on the outside and draw that shape onto there. And then I'll cut the outside with a jigsaw. Again, I don't know if I'll be doing that today or not, but it's possible. Okay, we have the 7.5 inch spacer in place, and it's 7.5 because we're going to the center of this girt. 1 3/4 plus 7.5 equals our 9 1/4 that we want. So all we have to do is lay the combination square nice and flat on the bottom of there and make a mark back there, which I did. Now I need to find the exact center and mark that. Then I'll remove this so I can drill right there, and then I'll drill that hole. Once I have the hole drilled, I'll take a compass and I'll make a good sized circle around there, bigger than what I need, and we'll cut away this house wrap. The house wrap will get tangled up in the jigsaw blade when I'm cutting from the outside, and I want a nice taped edge anyway, so we're just gonna cut the house wrap away, and then we'll drill our hole, then cut the house wrap away. Then I gotta go see if I have a 3-inch pipe. I need a 3-inch pipe and a 3.5 inch hole saw. If I got both of them, I'll be able to continue. But if I just have this laid out and I have that hole drilled to the outside, I consider that being ahead of the game. Then I'll just get all these fillers cut and installed, and we'll wait for another day for that other stuff. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but This is where the hole should be, where it says drain center. This is where a stud should be. All I did was take a level and move the line over, and then you just feel the edges, and I draw a line like right on the radius of the edge, and then get the center of that, and there you go. You got there's smaller ribs right here and here, and it sure looks like it's in the center to me. We'll find out in a second. But even if it's off by a bazillimeter, sorry about that, I had to use two hands. Like I was saying, that house wrap really likes to wrap around things, which is why we're going to be cutting it. I don't know, that looks too small. That's 4 inches, and the pipe itself is 3.5. Let's go 6 inches. Yeah, that's a lot better. Messed up again. I went 7.5 inches down. I was supposed to add that 3/4 of an inch to get the pitch. So I drilled another hole 3/4 of an inch lower, and that's not going to matter at all because it's going to be a big hole that is cut into here. Now I need to cut a piece of pipe at a 6-degree angle, and that'll give me that oval shape. I'll put a bunch of tape on the outside and trace it onto there. The outside is, well, up here it's red, down below it's black, so I could trace it right onto the building. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Hopefully these ribs don't get in the way of the jigsaw. I'll put a real fine blade on there, and we'll drill this hole a little bit bigger once I get that all laid out, and then we'll get that cut. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that today or not, but just getting this all laid out and everything puts me ahead of the game. I wasn't even going to be doing anything on this today, and I figured I had a few hours, better get out here and get something done. I could take this off now, and you could see drain, drain, got that right. Okay, yeah, let me go see if I can find the PVC pipe for this and the hole saw for this. If I don't have either one of those, I'm just going to put some tape over this, and we're going to wait a couple days until I have all the materials. So let me go look for that. Okay, good news and bad news. I did have 3-inch pipe laying around. I got this cut to length, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell. You could tell when I do that though. Got the 6-degree bevel cut on there, but the only hole saw that I have is a 4-inch. So I got that figured out. The girt, or the stiffeners that are going to hold up the inside of it, if I rest the pipe on the back end of those, there'll be a gap at the top. It will go through the hole just perfect, but I got to move those stiffeners together. No gap on it, but I don't need a gap because it's going to be resting on the bottom. I'll just shim the top, and I'll put my glue on the bottom. Once that's dry, pull the shim out, and then I'll just foam all the way around. So all is well, and I can drill the hole straight in. If I would have had the right size, I would have had to have drilled that at a 6-degree bevel, and that's kind of hard to do with a 3.5-inch saw. So I cut this chunk, which has a 6-degree bevel on both sides. I'm going to go take the ladder outside, put this on the side, and figure out where the bottom is, and put it on there and trace it, and we'll cut that out from the outside. The reason that you have to do the slightly ovaled hole is if you drilled like an exact hole, if I were to cut a 3.5-inch hole and slip that pipe through and then bend it up to 6 degrees, it would oil can on the bottom, and you would see it on the outside of the building. It would look like crap. So I think that is going to be it for today. I got what I need. I have a list. Look at all the tools that I had to get out just to do this. I have a list of all of my filler pieces. We got 8, 9, 10 all together, and 2 of them are for supporting this drain. But I think I'll get those cut real quick tonight, and then the actual video when I do all this stuff will be on my other channel, and I'll put a short showing the completed project. I'll put a short on this channel showing that, and that short will link to the other video if you want to see it. So make sure to subscribe and you'll get that notification of the short, and we'll see you there.